Hey guys, Evan Rourke here, back with another live stream. How are we today, my guys? If you can't tell, I've lost my voice just slightly. It was a little bit worse yesterday. So, it's not even that bad. I would say like I've lost like 20% of it. So just ignore that because I'm still able to speak. It's not like I'm fighting to, right? I'm gonna close the window a little bit because all the leaves rattling because of the fall and whatnot. It's as loud as it can be. So I don't want to risk you guys hearing that. We have one major topic for tonight's stream. And first off, again, I apologize for being late. We have one major topic for tonight's stream. Um, Bear with me here as I just do some last minute setups. Um, I also, I mean, I got a cold. That's why I sound like this. So the whole thing, I mean, just ignore as much as you can, any little sniff or anything like that. So anyway, hello to the four people in chat. We have Godzilla Not, we have Judzilla, we have Lorenzo, and we have Turbo. Live toilet cam. Hi, hello Judzilla, how you doing, man? Evan, Lorenzo, how you doing? I love Final Stand. Thank you, Turbo. Thank you. I know you did. I'm glad you did. That's what we're gonna be talking about in the stream. Is the after talk. Every single time I release a fan film, we have a fan film or a stream right after. That is the after talk, right? That talks about what this movie has meant to you guys, if it's meant anything, if you guys haven't seen it. I'm obviously gonna start off by saying the most obvious. there we go. I'm gonna be saying the most obvious thing right off the bat. If you if you have not seen it, go watch. I'm obviously gonna say this. I'm gonna say it several more times. Go watch Godzilla: The Final Stand. So far, it is doing really well in almost all factors. We have gotten 876 views in less than a week from its release. This is the best viewing uh, response. This is the best in terms of analytics. This is the best we've ever done than any other fan film when it comes to views ever. I would assume also in likes too. I don't remember if at this point in after releasing Mech Annihilation or whatever else, if we've had 43 likes under a week. I really don't think we have. Um, we are a little bit underperforming in terms of comments, or maybe we're at least doing the same as other fan films. And I know that I said this last time. Comments are crucial to me. It's probably the most important thing, actually, maybe even more important than views, because views change, right? They fluctuate. You know, you'll always have moments where the film will just be up. It'll be doing, like, for instance, right now in the last 3 days, particularly, it jumped from 400 to now almost 900 views, right? I think it's definitely going to reach 900 views before midnight, I think, or before tomorrow morning. And it goes up, and sometimes it goes down and up and up. Comments are always there. They are always there to stay, unless I literally delete the comments or you go back and delete the comments, which I hope you'd have no reason to ever do. Comments are there to stay, and there are right now 78 comments. It's not about the number. It's just, of course, the more I'd like to see, the better. And because it's my last fan film, I just want to see as many people's thoughts as possible, because comments are always there for me to look back. I literally think of it as, what if one day I'm an old man and I either maybe am somewhat of a successful film director or not, or whatever, and just want to see, oh, I wish let me look back at that old project I did like when I was 18 years old, right? And I look back on YouTube and I see all those comments and I reread the things that you guys said. And it's also just your thoughts. I just want to hear what you guys thought about it. It's not just like I just want to see them. I also want to see the substance of those comments. I want to see what you guys think about the movie, what you liked, what you didn't like, if you really felt this was the final payoff that I hyped it up to be, which so far everyone says that it has. I haven't gotten so far one negative review, which, I'm happy about, but it's not like I'm not willing to hear out bad news. If you guys didn't like it, feel free to say so. I'm just saying, though, in terms of what I have so far, this is the most uh, 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 positive response to a fan film I have ever released. And of course, having it be the last one is a big factor in that. So just watch it, and when you're done watching it, comment. I can't emphasize it enough. Make sure you comment your thoughts. I really want to hear what you guys have to say. So to sum it up, literally right now in the last literally minute, literally in the last minute. Great, my grammar. In the last minute of me talking, it just jumped, I think, 4 views. Okay, so it's going up, right? And the Final Stand teaser trailer did the exact same thing, right? A couple days, it went up, and all of a sudden, it literally just stopped out of nowhere, and it hasn't ever gotten the momentum since. And the same thing's gonna happen with this. I mean, it's predictable. Nothing ever just keeps growing on YouTube, exponentially forever, right? Um, but um, so so just watch it, give it a like, comment. So far, we have 880 views, 43 thumbs up, and 78 comments. That is very impressive for just under a week of the release date. So now let me turn it to you guys in the chat. What did you guys think about it? If you guys even commented on the actual fan film, that's fine. Maybe you could say more in detail here. I just want to hear what you guys think about it. I know the Turbo said he loved it, and I know he did, which is awesome. I'm so glad. I mean, it just warms my heart. It truly does, because working on a fan film, typically I did it for like a couple months each film. And like every fan film prior to Mech Annihilation, each took like anywhere between 4 to 6 months to make, right? And the script would be done in 2 weeks. This film I have been working on since, technically, if we're going to count the script, which was I always start off with the script of a film. July 20th, 2023, I started writing the script. And I know I said this in the last live stream before releasing it. Also, by the way, Lorenzo, to finally respond to your chat comment, I am doing very good, thank you. And by the way, Lorenzo, I don't think you commented on it either. So I'm hoping that after the stream, you watch it, and if you have watched it, make sure to comment your thoughts. There we go. You're gonna be hearing a lot of that tonight. Anyway, Stenny 2, where is it, Evan? Well, Silver, welcome to the stream. It's never coming out. What did just come out a couple days ago was something I just advise you to watch, as I've said 1,000 times in the last few minutes of starting the stream. It is the Godzilla, The Final Stand, my last fan film. Go give that a watch. That is going to be far more impressive than anything Stenny 2 related. So go give that a watch. I haven't watched it its entirety yet. No worries. It's a long film. It's something that I said last Friday, is it's a long movie. Unlike other movies where it's 30 minutes out of your weekend day, because I always upload my films on Saturdays, right? I always upload it on Saturdays, so I give you guys all of Saturday and all of Sunday to watch it. And it's doable because throughout the whole thing, right? It's 30 minutes, right? And most people can spare 30 minutes out of their weekends, especially given we're all still so young. We're not hit yet with big jobs. I hope not, at least. Not yet. So it's always like, 30 minutes. Like, everyone, I hope, can just squeeze that into their day now that it's up and running. But understandable if you haven't seen it. It's over an hour. It is the longest fan film I have ever released. And given it's my last, I will not be surprised that unless I become a feature filmmaker, right? Like I one day get the chance to direct a feature film, which is not easy for anyone, because to climb up that ladder is unbelievably hard to become a director, let alone one that makes feature films. So if I'm ever as blessed as to do something like that, then this might be my last film that would ever first and last film that could ever surpass the point of an hour, which is crazy to think about. But it also makes sense because it's the final film, Final Stand, right? So yeah. So anyway, let me see. I haven't, but from what I've seen, it's peak. Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm glad that you like it so far. So yeah, just when you finish it up, hopefully before next time I live stream, where I get to hear your thoughts in the chat, just make sure to comment beforehand so I can just read it up. I want to hear what you have to say. Godzilla, not you watched it, right? I'm pretty sure. I'm almost positive you did. You did. I remember you commented on it a couple days ago. Thank you for that. Or am I wrong about that? Sorry. You did. You said this is peak and you didn't say what you were going to say after the and. Hope it would have been nothing but good stuff. Let me see here. Anyway, the only small nitpick would be the building. Some of them, the kaijus look smaller than they really are, but at this point, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I mean, it's a fair criticism, right? I mean, you're saying that the kaiju should have been bigger than the buildings, right? Yeah, well, I have different building models. Some I think did fit the right size proportion with the kaiju. I think you're probably referring to the homemade buildings, because those I made out of what would have been like a tissue box. I mean, no, tissue boxes are too big, but something of this nature, right? Where it's rectangular cubicle. You could print building textures, wrap it around, it becomes a building. And typically, those things, since they're made out of inanimate objects, literally like what were originally boxes that were used for sometimes big things like cereal boxes, yeah, it will look too big. So it's an understandable criticism. I do think, on the other hand, the actual building models that were intended to be buildings, like building models, the ones that you build, those are probably the ones that are more size proportionate. If you are already at the point in the film where there's kaiju's fighting in the city, which, spoiler alert, doesn't happen until the final battle, you're pretty far in, I guess. Wow. So you have probably only, like, I'm guessing, at most 20-25 minutes to go. Pants made a final stand. Bro, I think you and like a couple other people were making jokes of that. It's like, oh my god. The only small. Oh, I don't know why. For some reason that I already read that, but that came after. Whatever. Anyway, so look, it is my first and last film, at least unless I become blessed in that I get to make feature films. It's my first and last film that's going to be over an hour long. It was the big finale, the big end, right? And I think I did a really good job. I would have said that before the movie, but I've also would have been like, let's hear what people have to say first before you sound so confident. But I've only been hearing good stuff, which is awesome. And and I was realizing this today. One of the amazing things about making these kinds of things, and I say this mostly to people that are younger than me, and I'm not, like, I'm not trying to sound like some guy with all this wisdom, like, oh, like, if you're younger than me and you're out there, like, I'm probably at most like 4 years older than you, right? Not to anyone in the chat, I'm just saying in general. Anyway, point is, what's so amazing about making these things is you think back, like, for instance, if you've reached the point now where you think you could not have done a better job, like, you maybe could have, but overall, this is the best you could have done because you're maybe, let's say, you don't want to make any more fan films, like how I'm in this position now where I'm done with them, and you've made your big final finale, and it's because let me give a quick disclaimer before I finish this point. When you make something, and I don't know if this is just me, because I always feel so strongly about this that I'm often ignorant enough to think, oh, this must be how everyone feels. I don't know. I don't know how everyone feels. Maybe you guys can tell me this is how you feel in the chat. I'd appreciate if you guys would confirm this to me. When you make work, at least when I do, I always it always sounds so much better in my head. I make what I make what I planned out in my head with the tools that I had, where it still at so many points never meets the way I imagined it in my head. And and at that point, when you release the film, you're kind of left with this, not this empty feeling, but like this feeling of, like, oh man, like, this is great, but now that it's done and over with, and now that I was the one to make it and I'm not watching somebody else's work, like, I feel almost like, was this the best they could have done? Like, uh you question your own work, you question your own final result. It's all these final, these are not, this is no pun intended when I say final this, final that. It's just, and the same thing with Final Stand in a way. It's like when I released it, it's like, wow, man, like, was this really, I think I did a good job, but this wasn't the way I imagined it. But then I think back to the fan films I watched when I was a kid that inspired me to start a YouTube channel. Not just start fan films, start a YouTube channel. The whole reason why this channel exists, right? Um uh I think back to those videos that inspired me to make Godzilla movies. And no offense to them, but now I've blown those videos out of the water in the sense that they were kind of like early films made by kids that were a little bit older than I was. But given I was younger at the time, I thought, oh, wow, like, I idolize these people. And not everyone, by the way. I still think there are people that I was inspired by that still make better work than I do. But you know what I mean? Like, there's that subsection of movies we watch, the Godzilla videos on we watch as kids on YouTube, where it's like, oh, it reminds me of those, like, those early videos, those early Godzilla videos I watched when I was a kid that, like, now are like kind of silly, but nah, when I was young, I loved them, and you were captivated by them. So I know I'm dragging this story on. Case in point, what's amazing about making fan films is that once you're done making them, you realize that if you're lucky, you have now made something that is far better than the things you were inspired by, which only means that, God willing, you are now inspiring even more people than the person who inspired you inspired, right? So the person you watched inspired you, probably inspired a bunch of other people other than just yourself. But now that you feel you have made work better than what they did when you were little, looking up to them, just imagine. I'm delivering this nice speech and I'm coughing. How nice. Just imagine how many people you're reaching uh, with that kind of work. Um, it's incredible. It's incredible. So I don't know. That's what's so great about making these. It's so rewarding, especially when people love it. And not everyone has loved my stuff. Oh, believe me, guys, I have had some duds. Okay, and I don't think we have to go into the most obvious one relating to a certain puppet that stands just 5 feet behind me. But overall, um, you make duds, but you do what's you do. But you also like hit the mark, right? So well, 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 how the Glucials have turned. Review every Bandai movie monster series Glucial. Are you kidding? How could I even review a Glucial? I know that you're joking, but like, what is there a review about a Glucial? It's like one element of a figure. So it's like, I can't. I don't even know. Right now, for my Thanksgiving awards film, I'm using building templates on cardstock. I remember you saying, sorry. I remember you saying that. I probably am gonna have to get water in a minute, but I remember you saying that. Since most of them are differing scales, I put the larger scale ones at the front, um, and the smaller ones in the back. Oh, interesting. I would have kind of thought it would be the opposite, right? No, because um, if you have the large scale ones in the back, then it looks like further beyond there are bigger buildings in the horizon, and the ones in the forefront are smaller, right? Like almost like an optical illusion. But I don't know. I mean, don't change your whole thing based on what I said. It's your excuse me, it's your work. Just know that okay, well, if you say this, I didn't read that. It makes it look way better. I believe you. I trust you. So yeah, it's surreal that this is my last fan film, though. I have to say, like, even because as you know, I was worried about the. Thank God this didn't end up becoming a problem, but I was so worried that given that it was an 800, not 800. I'm looking at the views. That's why it's confusing me. Given that it was a 1 hour, 4K, 60 frames per second movie, filmed on a DSLR T6i Canon Rebel camera, that it was going to take ages to upload. It would miss its release date. Then it would take even longer for it to process in 4K. To my surprise, it took literally the exact same amount of time as Mecha Annihilation, which by the way pisses me off. It's like, why did now that I know this uploaded like a charm, why did Mecha Annihilation kind of like stab me in the back, right? I mean that literally took just slightly longer than Final Stand when you count everything in it, and yet it's more than half, less than more than half the runtime of Final Stand. And while it is 4K and 60 FPS, it is filmed on a phone, an iPhone. So it's like, I don't know. Anyway, it's a good thing, not a bad thing that it uploaded quickly. And, what was going to be my main point now? I completely forgot what the main point was. The main point was that, it would release past the deadline and that it would not work out. But yeah, but I mean, it's crazy how that kind of worked out that way. So making the thumbnail was a lot of fun. I did that the night before I uploaded it. Um, yeah. Um, yeah, but it's doing really well in terms of views. It's great. Um, Let me see here. By larger scale, I mean closer to the original buildings. I see, I see. Smaller would be farther from the original scale of the actual building. I see. I see what you're saying. Um, Hello, King Goji. Final Stand was fire. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Um, thank you. That means a lot, man. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Um, Sorry, hold on 1 second. I know I'm like half. I'm out of it right now. Just give me 1 second. Sorry. So, yeah. Anyway, though, um, yeah, it's crazy. This is the last. Oh, this was the sum of the point I was gonna say. I knew I was missing something. So anyway, I take so long to upload this movie, and finally, when I'm on the verge of, because I said at 2:30 it would go public, right? So it's been unlisted now for days because I uploaded it in days in advance of any possible situation like the one I was just telling you guys about. So it's been unlisted for days, and I have my finger over the public button. So I've already made it public, and all I have to do is save as, and it's now public. And I have my finger over the button at 2:29 p.m. my time, and I'm like, this is the last time you're ever gonna do this. It's the last time you're ever gonna do this. It's insane. It is insane. This is the last time you are ever going to do this. Um, it's surreal. But as soon as I clicked the public button, it was like, wow. Buenos dias. Hello, Monster Gang. How you doing, man? Buenos dias to you too. I do want to make good fan films that eventually put out original creations. Most of them inspired by stuff. Go for it. Absolutely go for it. You know, the thing is, right? Like, you got to have both. I think. For instance, of all the fan films I've made, there were a couple. Of course, most of them it's when I was younger, and they're like I said, they were the duds, right? They were the ones that were bad because I was younger, you know. Um, um, so you know, it's um, so there are some duds, and those duds were typically ones. So I made some films that were not just Godzilla fan films. I made some of my own independent projects. Like for again, don't look these up. These are all horrible films that I made when I was younger, right? But you had Operation Dinosaur Island from 2017. You had Change of the 40s in 2017. I laugh because these are like I made these when I was 11 and they're bad. I'm not using these to boast. I'm just saying, you know, as I too like made my own independent stuff. So always do. I did Attack on Washington, another stupid movie. I did Standy. That's the biggest example of them all. Just because that was purely my own creation, right? Like, okay, like dinosaurs, yeah, that's been done. UFO movies, that's been done. And a movie about a terrorist attack on Washington, D.C., it's been done in a couple horrible blockbuster movies. But Standy was really like, you know, and that's not a boast either because the actual Standy movie, it was bad, right? It was when I was young. These movies are not good when you compare them to what I make now. But those are also examples of independent projects. So do both. Do both. And I of course recommend that as long as it's not overcomplicated, which I don't know if I personally achieved myself. So I don't know if arguing it is even the best thing. But if you want to make Godzilla fan films, I would suggest making them like connected, make them a storyline. Because if there's something about making a Godzilla fan film where each fan film is just a brand new character cast with different like a brand new story each time that has no relation to the past one. That kind of just makes it like less fulfilling in a way. Because if you make a fan film, a Godzilla fan film, a sequel to your last fan film, you've now galvanized an audience that is honestly interested to see this film, not just because it's Godzilla, but because they want to see where the story picks, left off, right? There's something about that element. Um, there's something about that uh, idea of a sequel that gets people interested. You know. Hello, Evan. The movie was such a joy to watch. Thank you so much, Mediated Films. Thank you so much. That really means a lot. I know you enjoyed it. I know so many people enjoyed it. It makes me so happy to hear that. I hope it inspired you to make the kind of movies you guys want to watch. I really do. That's another thing I've been hearing too. Not from everyone, right? But you know, like 3 or 4 people that this inspired them to get back into fan film making again. Like it kicked up that gear, and that is such a wonderful thing to do because when you think about it, you can say to yourself, "Wow, okay, Evan, you inspired 3 or 4 people to make a film. Wow, like that's just one of those people. That's a human being. That is a person who has ambition. That is a person who has goals. That is a person who has creativity in their minds and in their hearts. That they want to make something, right? That uh they want to feel motivated to make something, and then they end up hopefully making it out of their motivation. And then from doing that, they did it because they were inspired by somebody else. I'm not saying like I alone deserve credit for inspiring people. It's just something that I have heard particularly within this film that makes you realize just how beautiful inspiration is. I've been inspired several times myself to the point where I don't even know what I'd be making now if I didn't get inspired by those things. I mean, everything kind of falls in order. It's like a domino effect, right? People inspire you, and then it's time for your domino to fall. To fall, you inspire some people. You don't inspire everyone. You inspire some people. Cough, cough. The Millennium Series. I know, man. It's so bad. I don't even know what this kind of because I've had since college started for me in September. I've had three colds. Literally in the last 2 months, I've had three colds. I had one a few weeks after college started. I had one in early October, and I'm having one now in early November. And I pray to God I don't have one in early December or in early January when I'm off winter break because that would suck, right? The good thing about this cold, though, the first two, is that they were colds that included the sore throat as a symptom. I don't know about you guys. Worst symptom of a cold for me is a sore throat. I cannot stand a sore throat. The only thing I think about when I have, and I don't want to jinx this, of course, saying all this, but the only thing I think about when I have a sore throat is just stick around. Tomorrow you'll wake up and it'll be gone. And then, of course, it doesn't really go away the next day, and that's your whole thought process tomorrow. It's the worst. It's the worst. The only thing that's maybe just as bad is when you're like sneezing every 5 seconds. But for me, that's more with like seasonal allergies. It doesn't come with colds. Case in point, this time I haven't gotten a sore throat. I've just been sneezing and coughing, and now I've lost my voice. So this one wasn't as bad as the last two, but it's like I like don't you get antibodies when you're done with colds that prevent you from getting them again? Ideally, for maybe like another half a year. Like on average, I would think people get maybe two colds a year. This is three in the last 2 months. Like, come on, please, no more. Uh, I say this while being a Millennium Era fan. I plan my future to revolve around animation. I've been so enthralled in the hobby recently, and it's such a treat to create stories in a unique way like this. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. Um, and good for you on animation because animation, the skill it takes to animate. Oh boy, oh boy. I mean, it's like even if you did a, and I'm not saying you would ever do a bad job. I'm just saying in general, even if you did a bad job at animation, and by that I mean like you made a good animation, but there were elements of it that were off that kind of maybe ruined the whole thing, but it was still a good animation. Like that is something I still could never do. It's something I envy so not envy, sorry, wrong word. It's something I respect so much. Um um because it's just you know, um it's such a useful skill if you want to move ahead in the world because people are impressed by animation. People love animation. And of course there are different forms of it too, right? Like for me, I'm a sucker for stop motion. It comes to all forms of animation, it's probably my favorite, but it's great. And Godzilla fans love stop motion, I think, more than most, of course. Literally, Monster King too, who's in here, does that's his thing, right? I mean, sucker law. Welcome to the stream, Gabe. To those who don't know, Gabe played Rick in my fan films, the uh, supporting character in practically all the fan films I've made since Godzilla vs. Iris. Ronnie's sidekick, basically. My brother currently has strep throat right now, and I know much that, and I know, yeah, I know how much that sucks. Yeah, it's funny. I actually got strep throat, back in. Why am I not able to remember? It was this year. I think it was in April. I think it was in April. I don't know. I had this really weird thing where I don't know what it was. I actually, oh my God, like I even remember, I completely forgot about it. Where I almost had like this, I felt this lump in my, what they're called nodes. I don't know if lymph nodes or lymph nodes. In any case, no one's a doctor here that can make fun of me for it if I mispronounce it incorrectly. Uh, or if I mispronounce it right. But it was like here, and it felt like a lump, right? And under my skin. Turns out it was strep throat, but I somehow got so lucky because I didn't feel a sore throat at all, right? Like strep throat is worse than your average sore throat, and yet I was blessed in that I didn't even feel it. I just had it, which I didn't even know was possible. I guess now it is. Could you get? I'm look it up. Can you get strep throat and not know it? Asymptomatic, basically. Yes, possible strep throat, not know it because some people with strep throat have no symptoms. This part is strep. But donuts are called carriers, right? Carriers, because you can spread it. And of course, I think if you take there's an antibiotic for it that literally kills it in like 12 hours, which was, it's what I took. But I guess I was spreading it around to people. I'm so sorry to people that might have got it and gotten the symptoms, but I got lucky. Um, um, anyway, animation is a process. I will say that yes, it is. First off, as much as I love stop motion, I've never actually been a stop motion guy. If you've looked on my channel, I did so much of it, and the number of stop motions I made kept dwindling and dwindling and dwindling until up until a year ago. I just haven't done it at all. And I always started by saying I'm gonna do this. It's gonna be awesome, and you just after 30 minutes, you just find yourself like literally seamlessly without realizing it, rushing your own process of doing it. You don't even realize that you're rushing it. You're just so naturally impatient of it, which by the way doesn't go for everyone. There are people who the people who are good at it are not impatient with it. So once you learn you are impatient for it, you kind of realize it's not the thing for you. It's more the thing for you to kind of watch and love, not for you to actually do. Um, it's not like I was horrible at it. It's just I don't have the patience for it. So, um, I'm not sick, but I'm sneezing like crazy every morning. My face is dry and feels irritated and has a rough texture. I wonder if that's, do you get like seasonal allergies? Because I know I said I did, but I don't get them in the fall. I get them in the spring, which I'm thankful for because I love the fall. So I don't want that to get ruined. I love the spring too, but excuse me. Um, so anyway, um, I will be ending off the stream. I would typically end it like literally in a minute. I'm gonna keep it going for another 5 minutes because I didn't really. I don't want to end it yet, so I'll give it 5 minutes. In any case, so yeah, guys, do for those in the chat, do what you want to do with the stuff that you have. Make amazing things, amazing things. Um, Again, one of the great things about starting these kinds of things young is that it's only natural for you to progress. And it's when you progress and become older that without even realizing it, you're inspiring the same kind of people that were once you, right? It's amazing. It's beautiful how it works because it's really something that happens with every generation of artists is you become inspired to do a certain form of art or forms of art in general, like plural, and you do it. You become better at it and better at it and better at it, and sure enough, you're inspiring someone that was once like in your shoes to do the exact same thing. And ideally, I mean, it's a cycle, but it's a beautiful cycle. So make what you want to make, like whether it's Godzilla or not, and the kind of independent films that he wants to make on top of the fan films, which is great because that's what I did. Not that, like I said, the independent films I made were any good, um, but rather it's that or um, mediated films wanting to do meditated films. Did I say mediated? I'm so stupid. Rather, it's that or meditated films wanting to do animation. It's just great. The really funny thing is I enjoy doing stop motion with Bandai Vinyls more than I do with figures like SH Monster Arts. Yeah, I don't. You would think, right, that SH Monster Arts are better. It's not that I didn't use. First off, overall, anytime I did a stop motion, I would use a Bandai, preferably. Um, the answer is obvious that SH Monster Arts are technically better for stop motion in that they have much more ball joints, just joints in general. But there's something about Bandai that for some reason is also just as appealing. You know. Now I'm starting to do more of the puppeteering the figures themselves since I don't have a lot of time for stop motion anymore. I won't stop doing it, but it won't be on my channels often. Yeah, that's the other thing too. Sometimes it doesn't even have to do with patience; it has to do with time, right? So like what Monster King just said, he doesn't have the time to do it anymore, so he's kind of puppeteering them, which is great. I mean, look, think about it. my fan films were mostly puppeteered. I would always have at least one stop motion shot in every fan film, but I think I stopped that tradition during Godzilla Doomsday Arrival. I'm pretty sure after Godzilla Doomsday Arrival, and since I just stopped having stop motion for my fan films, even for that one shot, right? Um, so I like to mix the puppeteering and stop motion to save time and energy. Yeah, that's another strategy too. First off, that's what I always ended up doing anyway. I'd always be telling people, I'd always be telling myself, more importantly, um, you know, do not puppeteer. Go in there, do your stop motion, do your thing, and from there, just um, um, I'm sorry, my mind blanked. I just zoned out for a second. That happens sometimes in streams. You go in, you say, "Don't puppeteer, Evan. Don't puppeteer," and then what'll happen is I will end up puppeteering anyway as part of the impatience, right? It comes with the territory. Um, so yeah. Anyway, pathetic pictures. Crawling himself, everybody. Crawling himself is in the chat. Crawling. Crowlin. I have to think actually, what is the best Crowlin line of any fan film? Because he's been in every fan film since Godzilla Unstable. It's when he made his first appearance. Of course, I was gonna spoil Final Stand. I'm not gonna do that because there are people in here that I haven't seen it yet, like Lorenzo. But um, but I have to think what's my favorite Crowlin line. Anyway, so by the way, I feel bad you joined now because I'm gonna be ending the stream soon. Bro, are you done with the channel? Also, you got do I got Zell? No, I don't. What's that? Also, no, I'm not. The only thing, like I've said this before, the only thing that's ending are the fan films. The fan films are the only thing that's ending. Jacob, how you doing? I also feel bad for you. You joined in the last couple minutes. Sorry for being inactive. I had to watch some puppies. Oh, that's cute. Well, it's all right too because I'm gonna be ending it soon, so it's all good. No worries. Uh, bro, you got strep. Well, we were just talking about it. No, I didn't. This is my third cold that I've gotten since college started. Of the three colds, this is finally the only cold of the three where I didn't get a sore throat, which makes me happy because that's my least favorite cold symptom. It's the worst one in my opinion, worse than anything else. But I lost my voice, which isn't really a sore throat. It's just you just can't speak. You don't sound good. So I've just been sneezing and coughing, which by the way, that's mostly done with. I'll get the occasional cough like you guys have seen so far tonight, but I lost my voice. So no no strep or sore throat, thank God. Hello, Krolin. I do puppeteer in some of my kaiju battles. Yeah, puppeteering is the much easier route, and you also in some way. Sorry to all stop motion fans out there, but you have more freedom with puppeteering in the sense that um, if you animate with stop motion, the battles will look much more natural, but they won't look as impactful. For instance, if you have Godzilla like tail whipping someone, the amount of cuts that you could jump to of just him doing that action of just going wham like out of nowhere, right? It's quick and fast, and you feel like you know. But the difference with stop motion is because you actually have to move the joint. It really looks like it's a natural process of having it hit, and it's not as But that's the thing. People sometimes like that more. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, right? Um, hey, how's my good friend Meditative Films doing? I use puppet strings for my figures, so hands don't show. Well, you really can avoid showing hands when you're puppeteering. I mean, think about it. Look, I'm not trying to boast, but look at the fan films I've made. And Final Stand, I actually noticed like a couple hand shots that I was like, I'm not gonna say them because I don't want you guys to look back and like have the movie experience get ruined for you guys. But I actually saw a couple hand shots where I was like, no, because I don't even know. I don't think I've actually accidentally shown a hand in my fan films, and like it hasn't been the case in like 5 or 6 fan films. But of course, I have to make the mistake in the final fan film, which I've overlooked so many times. But I guess I only now got to see those mistakes after uploading. It's always after, right? So, so you don't have to use strings. If anything, strings are, in my opinion, a little bit worse because you can actually make out the strings. With puppeteering, as long as it's a waist above shot, which is how you would film most Godzilla shots. That's how you would film most Godzilla kaiju movies. Most kaiju's moving anyway. You're not going to be seeing your finger, so I wouldn't recommend using strength. But that's not my thing. But if it works for you, it works for you. Um, in any case, guys, I will be ending off the stream now. Most of the people in the chat have seen Godzilla the Final Stand, but if you are watching and you have not, or you are and you haven't mentioned in the chat, you're just being quiet watching, or you were in the chat and you mentioned you haven't watching it and you're still in the chat, give Godzilla the Final Stand a watch. When you are done watching it, I understand it's a long movie, but comment your thoughts. I'd really love to hear what you have to say, what your thoughts on it are. And I'm so proud that it ended up working out the way it did and that you guys enjoyed it. It makes me feel really good, and I'm glad I made a lot of you guys happy. So, thank you guys for watching this live stream. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys later, and bye-bye.